back in the 80s, in some of the evangelical circles I was a part of in college,
Mm-hmm.
there was a book called Evidence That Demands a Verdict,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Josh McDowell,
Yep.
and just fact,
Yeah.
which was supposed to persuade me in an apologetic kind of way
Mm-hmm.
into the faith. And I think that's a very particular kind of knowing
Mm-hmm.
that I think is increasingly not the way people actually think.
Yeah.
So I think now so many more people are persuaded by a story
Mm.
than they are by a fact. And I
Yeah.
think there's really negatives to that. So
Okay.
one of the reasons the subtitle of the book is The Power of Story to Shape Our Faith
Mm-hmm.
is shape is not necessarily a positive word. It can
Mm.
also be shaped in a misshapen kind of way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So story can also lead us down paths that are quite destructive.
Right.
So the shaping force is supposed to be there's a little more flexibility there.
Yeah.
So I think if you think about the company you work for or the
Mm-hmm.
ministry you work in, the story that you have about yourself is a really interesting one.
Yeah.
The personal story you have.
Yeah.
So I'm a person who only wants facts. Well, that then makes you think about yourself and the choices that you're making and the way you interact with people.
Mm-hmm.
It changes the kind of character that you are, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense,
Hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so one of the things I think people should think about is what is the story that they're telling themselves about
Yeah.
themselves
Yeah. Yeah.
or about their organization or about
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Because you start to see that some things are really important to you. So um, I'm someone who doesn't need help, right? So,
Right.
or I talk in the book about um, being a single person, and one of the stories I think single people tell themselves is, "No one will take care of me,"
Mm-hmm.
or right. So we have fears that come out in our stories. Think
Right.
about how many stories are about people defeating monsters. Like
Right.
that's the whole Marvel universe,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Is we continually from the Beowulf, all those
Mm-hmm.
stories on, it's an externalization of internal fears,
Yeah.
right? So we aren't keeping our um, we aren't keeping the settlement sort of protected,
Yeah.
but instead of facing the fact that we're not doing it, we make a monster come and attack us, right?
Mm.
So as we think about what are our monsters,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of who we are, right?
Yep.
It starts to tell us some interesting things. So one of the things is I would sort of push back and say, I think even when we're wanting facts, facts
Uh-huh.
themselves are presented in a kind of there is a sort of narrative to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.